Good evening. Well, I mean, okay. Let me just make sure I'm saying this properly, obviously, because um when oh, one quick second. There we go. Okay, that should be good. So yeah, we've been doing a lot of these in the morning, and I always start with good morning, good afternoon, good evening. And that is mostly because during the workday, of course, most of our viewers are still in the West, and so therefore they are what majority, because they're the majority. We say good morning first, but because today we are a little bit earlier, and it's a Saturday. Yes, it is, and and also actually that is the case, isn't it? Because class 3 is today. And I think class 3 has more people from Asia than the other classes. Huh. I wonder if we should do something about that. Either make it more or less diverse. Well, I mean I personally would go with more diverse. I think that would be more fun. Right? Like we'll put more of the classmates into or rather geographically we'll have more classmates sort of be part of more more geo yeah, we'll have more geographically diverse classmates is what I'm trying to laboriously get to. I sound sleepy, thank you. No, I'm not so much sleepy as sleep deprived. There are mild differences there, obviously, but essentially what happens is that excuse me. What happens is that when the world goes to hell, or no, okay, I shouldn't say when the world. Oh, when there's a lot of trouble in the world, our boys and girls tend to come to me for help in explaining it a little bit more than normal, and being the nice person that I am, I tend to oblige and do that explanation, right? No, it's because I'm nice, not because of any other reason. Well, there's nothing in my contract that says that I have to respond at the hours of the day that I do. So, absolutely, it is me being nice. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And well, see, we're back in Tokyo because apparently there is enough demand for us to just for us to continue walking around Tokyo for the rest of our lives, which we will definitely not do, but it's just kind of interesting that this is a thing, right? And I mean, in some ways I can understand that, right? Because Tokyo is such an all of this, the vast majority of Tokyo is rebuilt after the Second World War, but rebuilt in such a way that is different from the way that Germany was rebuilt. And in part, it's because of geographical distance, right? So, what time is it? 4 minutes. Tokyo was rebuilt differently from Germany, or let's say Japan, post World War II. Japan was rebuilt differently from Germany, in part because of Excuse me. Can you guys see the text? Yes. Okay, good. In part because of geographical distance, cultural um, alienation, i.e., racism. Um, well, because the Germans were Europeans, and so there was an entire Marshall Plan for Europe, and West Germany just got folded into the Marshall Plan, right? Well, I mean, the details of it doesn't really matter because that is what happened. Like, and like it or not, like it's easy to concentrate on Germany because you have just structural ability to do so, whereas the Japanese, like even before World War II, and before the crash, when the Great Depression, when Japan slowly after World War One was acknowledged as a world power, etc., etc., it was still just alien enough that there was very little day-to-day communication between Japan and the rest of the world, and that continued after World War II. And so Japan rebuilt really based on its own culture. And you can sort of see that, right? Like, obviously, there was the entire Meiji Restoration, which tried to force Western culture, Western ideas, Western thoughts on, excuse me, onto sort of the Japanese population. Um, And so you see this really interesting way of interpreting Western ideas, right? And that's why we have actually so many really interesting Japanese architects and designers, because they learned their tradecraft, and but then they applied it outside of the interference of the masters at the time, right? That's not to say that they didn't learn, that they didn't take inspiration, that they didn't sort of have their own way of copying things. Absolutely, they did. But if exactly, they did, but they put the as our voice says, they put their unique spin on it because they were able to do so with very little interference, right? Like, giving you an example, in academia, modern academia. Don't let my stories about academia discourage you from getting into academia. In part, it is these stories are horror stories, but only because they reflect a certain amount of willfulness among people, and you have to be willful if you want to defend your idea in a way that, if you have a controversial idea and you want to defend it, then you have to be willful about it, right? I was gonna say something. Example, academia. It is still possible for grandees in the field to disrupt and discourage new research, right? And that is unfortunate, and that is part, but it is part of life. Um, why that's a good thing? Well, it's not strictly a good thing. It's the consequence of what I said earlier, which is that you are supposed to be able to defend your ideas with a certain amount of vigor, right? Oh wow. Oh my god. Oh, I turned over and double checked some of the settings for the software that I use. It's fantastic. Wow. Okay. No, no, no. It's all good. It's all good. Um, what I was laboriously trying to say is that in Japan after World War II, there was no grandee. There was simply too much to rebuild like in Germany. But as we've talked about, Germany retains its influences from the rest of the world simply because it is so close, both geographically and physically, to it, right? And so, it's in Japan, the Japanese people say there are 4 generations, 5 generations of architects, whatever. Not the most important part, but essentially the first generation of architects are is the generation that first started their craft post World War II, and that's important, right? By calling it the first generation, they are saying something, and which oh, that's interesting. Let's walk around along the river. Um, they're saying something, which is that these are sort of the I don't want to say founders, but the first practitioners of a very Japanese style of architecture. And so we see that very cleanly, right, in a lot of these places. Like you can see this type of design in the West. You can see little bits and pieces of influences here and there. But then you look at this, and it's very close to something like that, right? Actually, let me just move forward just a little bit. Right? Like the differences aren't that big. And yes, you're right. You do see this kind of thing in the West, but you don't see it in the scale and in the application that you do in Japan. You see these little recesses like this. And I'm just pointing out to random buildings at this point, right? Like I'm not even going out and searching for concrete examples. I'm just standing here and saying, look at this, right? Like this type of glass, very much very evocative. You don't see that very much in the West, but you know this technique does exist, right? You see these look like paper screen doors, and it's just these little touches that are pervasive that make Japanese architecture, or at least the original intent and the original teachings within the field, mildly exotic, but also very representative um, of an interesting culture, I think is what I'm trying to say. I am tired. Still, I blame you know who I blame. Again, right? Like you look at stuff like this, definitely exists. I don't know what happened there. I'm pretty sure that's an imaging error. I yeah, I'm pretty sure that's an imaging. Anyway. There's nothing wrong with that. Okay. Let's see if I can go in here. Next time, I think next time we do this, I'm going to use Apple Maps. Oh yeah, okay. So it's the subway station. Why won't you place me inside the subway station? Right, like I'm obviously clicking on this place. Like Google, come on. What do you want me to do? Control click, shift click, not command click, alt click, window click. None of that worked. That's I'm fairly certain you're supposed to just click on it and you're able to move there, but you can't. So whatever. All good. Okay. Don't I have something more pretentious to talk about? Yeah, but then again, I always have something pretentious to talk about, don't I? Is it? Isn't that sort of par for the course for who I am? I thought we had always established that. Also, why is the map not following my dude? Oh my god. Okay. Let's try this again. Where were we? We were. It doesn't matter. We were at a bridge. Let's go to a bridge. It's not a bridge. Oh, that's a railway bridge, is it? Oh, that's okay. So we just, we're over there. We go this direction. Okay. That's not the direction I wanted to go into. There we go. Thank you. Right, things like this as well. Just. Oh, come now. Really? Yeah, like having this at an entrance, right? It's just, it's little things like that. So, like, it's essentially injecting a bit of the, exoticism. I don't want to say exoticism though, because it's not strictly that exotic. But it is very much an application of of local culture, local ideas to the learnings that these designers have attained from overseas, right? This way, fantastic. Yeah, I would say so. I would say like if you take off all of the legible characters, if you plop me in the middle of a Japanese city, I think quite quickly be able to tell that it is a Japanese city, as opposed to, I'm not sure I would sometimes be able to tell the difference between, say, a Canadian and an American one, or a Canadian, or a or a French and a German one, right? Like obviously major cities are different, but like well, we're talking sort of. Excuse me. Okay, okay. I'm trying to get that way. Okay, there we go. Yeah, we'll go along the shoreline. Don't worry, we'll go this way along the shoreline. Don't actually know if this will get us along the shoreline. No. No, see, here we are. Now we'll go along this. Come on. Thank you. Okay. Oh. What? Does that mean we can go along? What? Oh, we can take the boat. We can take a boat ride. That would be mildly fantastic, right? Okay, all right, let's do it. But of course, this being a, oh, what if we went that way? That direction. Okay. So we'll go in the reverse direction, because then the boat won't be in the way, right? Because we'll always see this if we go in this direction, but if we go in the reverse, then we won't. Excellent. Actually, in that case, let's find out where this line ends, and we'll go from the start of it. Oh wow, okay. Wow. All right. I did not notice that. That's mildly fantastic, Nick. I would say so. Yeah. Okay. So let's start here. We want to go in this direction. No, we want to go in that direction. Oh my god. Okay. Well, I've never really seen this before, so this is mildly novel. So you're just gonna have to bear with me. Oh, it's gonna. What? So if I'm here. Okay, let's try this way. Whatever, it's all good. I mean, we don't have that much time, so I'm just gonna, yeah, plop us in the middle of somewhere and we'll just continue along it. How do I not know anything about using Google? Because I haven't, I don't use Google services that much, right? Well, I mean, if I did, wouldn't you all like call me a hypocrite? I don't know. Like a building like this, I feel it feels very Japanese, right? But you could see something like this exist in a whole bunch of other places. But it's like these openings that make it more Japanese than any other, like subtle Japanese influences, right? It's just a style that seems to have preserved sort of all throughout the generations of Japanese buildings, and that's nice. I like that. Actually, it's kind of similar to what do you want? Similar to cordon bleu type restaurants, right? Like, yeah, architecture, um, development, similar to cordon bleu types restaurants. So Michelin stars in the rest of the world, excuse me, tend to adhere quite quite closely to the sort of default cordon bleu type, like artistry of food, as opposed to like searching for novelty, searching for um for artistry on the plate, etc., etc. Excuse me. Oof. Excuse me. No, no, I'm okay. Could you get 1 second? Yeah. So like because of that, they tend to they in my mind at least, a lot of it tends to be quite where a lot of it tends to in their search for novelty, they actually start losing their individuality, right? And yeah, exactly. Like they're all desperate to show that they are unique, that they're different, that there's story, that there's history, that there's like chefs supposedly not supposedly but celebrated as artists, and that's perfectly fine. And that's, well, it's pretentious, but it's a thing, and I will accept that it's a thing. Um, but what was my point? Right. My point was that the Michelin starred um, restaurants in Japan are not all like that. And so again, we start seeing this cultural distance that allows these people to sort of showcase a different type of, or okay, maybe not a different type, but it's very similar to architecture where, and actually that's why I was trying to use the analogy where they still apply fairly broadly across the board cordon bleu techniques, but there is more. How do I say this? There is enough of the local, like they're applying enough local. It's predominantly based on the local culture as opposed to chasing novelty for novelty's sake, or chasing artistry for artistry's sake, right? In fact, a lot of the a lot I wouldn't say all, but there are a few restaurants in Tokyo, especially that I went to where yes, Michelin starred, where the idea is not so not so much about the presenting artistry, but presenting uh, food that is that that was or how do I say this? Food that took effort and was made painstakingly. Right. That's not to say that other Michelin star chefs don't put in effort into their food. Of course they do, but uh, I think even today there's a difference between how much effort is put in by a Western chef and how much effort and dedication can be put in by someone by someone that dedicates their entire life to it in Japan, right? And yes, not like me. I'm so sorry. Please forgive me. um, oh, give me one quick second. We can play a video game next time. Yes. Oh, what day is it today? It's 28th, isn't it? Oh, I did this whole thing wrong. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. I'll figure out how to fix it afterwards. Um, yeah, no. Oh no, don't worry about it. I just accidentally I saved over the stream notes for the 26th, compared to the 28th. Like instead of creating a new file, I just saved over what we did on, like saved over the 26th. Um, even today, devs approach the idea of creating food. Are they? No, they're fine. Different Western. There we go. Excellent. Okay, so we are almost done. Any any final questions, concerns? As I say, character assassinations, all that good stuff. We can do this again, except next time I'm definitely switching to Apple Maps, which is a lot easier to navigate. Right? Like we might miss out on some of these photosphere things, but like we're not getting the full benefit of it to begin with because we Google refuses to allow me to click on them, right? Like, oh, it's such. Am I gonna be able to click on this one? No. Okay, so, see, there we go. Right, like it's the inconsistency in the user interactions that are faintly annoying and will always annoy me. Yes. Would I say that this building? You mean? Yeah, I would say that this is fairly definitive of Japanese architecture. Actually, it's the few parking spots on the bottom and these open balconies, right? Yeah, this is fairly definitive. It's just the way that they were built, and I don't know, like it's it's nice. Anyway, we are done for today. Thank you very much. No, no. Okay. I Actually, that's not a bad idea. I can do that. I'll have to think about how to do that. But yes, sure, I can. Uh, for posterity's sake, the question was, can I post the discussion notes? I might as well make a tweet out of it now that I think about it. Yeah, we'll do that. Or if I remember to, we'll do that. Anyway, thank you all for watching. In conclusion, please download Firefox. Please don't do Chrome. And I shall see all of you, uh, yeah, probably tomorrow. No, no. Anyway, our time is up. Bye.